and welcome to the home of Unitarian Universalism in Central Washington. My name is Roxanne Harrison. I'll be your celebrant this morning. Ours is a faith that believes in radical hospitality. Every person of goodwill is welcome. Whatever your beliefs of faith, they enrich our community. Who and how you love, where you come from, how you live. If those are not familiar to us, we take it as an opportunity to learn. We invite everyone, including the folks on Zoom, to continue our communion with refreshment and conversation after the service. For the folks on Zoom, you'll find the order of service in the chat. For everyone in our building, please take a moment to turn and wave to everyone on Zoom. And now, please take a moment. All right, for announcements today, we have first Ronnie Craven has some things to share.
What?
I said hi, Valerie, and I realized she hasn't. Unless you did it, she hasn't called anything. She didn't. She just came back.
Oh, good grief. So this morning, I'm a little bit of a hot mess. I had a crushing migraine. Forgot my pictures for the ofrenda. What else did I forget? And then I printed these two items so we could put them up, and they're on my printer. But I wanted to share that next weekend, because of the horrific food insecurity that's looming over everyone, there will be two food drop-off locations on Saturday, November 8th. Albertsons and Wenatchee Wild Game in Wenatchee. On Sunday, Grocery Outlet in Wenatchee. The other one is a Stuff the Bus on November 7th. I know you won't remember this, but, and that's at Walmart. I'm going to ask Petra to put this in the newsletter since I forgot the posters, but now more than ever, we can often tell by our pantry how full it is when you come to fill it. It's been empty a lot lately by the next day that someone fills it. So thank you. I know you help a lot, but we can probably help more. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Ronnie. And now our auction team has a special message for you.
Oh, look, there's Ruby, the auction diva.
Happy anniversary to us. Happy anniversary to us. Darling, wasn't the gala night fabulous?
Oh, it was. So much fun, great food, fantastic live auction.
It doesn't happen without a lot of real gems helping out.
That's right. And now, the auction team says thank you to those gems. Oh, should I? Here, I'll take this.
The gems who set up and decorated.
Oh, they were important. And the gems who brought food and served it.
The gems who checked people in and out.
The gems who bartended and who auctioneered.
The gem who took care of our tech needs.
Oh, let's see. The gems who cleaned up and got us ready for this morning's service.
Also, to the other gems on the auction team, Rebecca Lyons, Amy Massey, Kathy Goop, Kathy Johnson, and Heather Seaman.
and especially to all those gyms who donated, brought items, and raised their programs.
Well, really, there was just a lot of us that are them. There we go.
The auction
Team says, thank you. You sparkle. The gala was so much fun, but I'm sad that it's over. The sparkle is gone from my day.
Oh, don't be sad, Ruby. Opening night is over, but the auction continues. You can still bid on the marvelous offerings that are hanging on the walls, well, except one wall, until Sunday, November 16th. On that day, there's a last bid continental breakfast that starts at 9 o'clock, with bidding ending at 10:15. Bidder numbers are posted on the wall next to those fabulous dinner options. Pencils are in the windowsills.
My sparkle has returned. Christmas is coming. I'm going to shop right after the service.
Don't forget about the $10 or less table in the back of the sanctuary with some great items on it.
Remember, darlings, if you want to sparkle like rubies, bid often.
And be a gem, bid big. Over half of the auction proceeds will go to the new building fund.
And boy, do we need it.
Gosh.
The land upon which we live, the Wenatchee Valley and the Columbia Plateau, was the homestead of the Pasquosa people before the European colonizers came. The Pasquosa and their neighbors had a rich life and vibrant culture until the U.S. and European government broke their treaty obligations and invited the colonists to settle here. Today, on the Day of the Dead, we are considering our beliefs about death. Like all humans, the indigenous people of this continent have a variety of beliefs and practices. Here's a quote from Don Talievsa, Sun Clan chief of the Hopi people. When I am too old and feeble to follow my sheep or cultivate my corn, I plan to sit in the house, carve Kachina dolls, and tell my nephews and nieces the story of my life. Then I want to be buried in the Hopi way. Perhaps my boy will dress me in the costume of a special officer, place a few beads around my neck, put a paho and some sacred cornmeal in my hand, and fasten inlaid turquoise to my ears. If he wishes to put me in a coffin, he may even do that, but he must leave the lid unlocked, place food nearby, and set up a grave ladder so that I can climb out. I shall hasten to my dear ones, but I will return with good rains and dance as a kachina in the plaza with my ancestors. The Pasquosa still live here, still practice their traditions, and are still working to have their treaty rights restored. We have said that we will stand with them in those efforts. For more on this subject, please visit our website, cascadeuu.org, under Welcome. Now let us rise in body and spirit and sing our opening song, Turn, Turn, Turn.
Good morning. So the Day of the Dead is a celebration primarily held in Mexico, but also throughout Central and sometimes in South America. Like most of these celebrations, it's an amalgamation of indigenous traditions and early Catholic Church work. It is a celebration, though. It is a time that in Mexico and in the United States, in those communities, we have fun. We talk about our dearly beloveds in humorous terms. We write little ditties about them that poke fun at them and their unusual and unique ways. One of the things, and I'm not going to talk about, do the souls come across the dry land to visit us again? I have not had that direct experience myself. I know people who said they have had those experiences. But what I do know from my work is that our relationship with those who have died can change. They can still inform our lives. They can still help us heal. I have conversations almost every day. I facilitate conversations between my clients and parents or children or grandparents, ancestors. And in the process of those conversations, things change. There is healing, there is relief, there is clarification. There's, of course, also often pain and sorrow and missing. But I know that in this way the dead are real and still present and still able to help us. Here is a poem by Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I've only slipped into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name ever be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without a trace of shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I'm out of sight? I'm waiting for you for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well.
Around the world in Unitarian Universalist holy places where people gather to worship, they light a chalice as a symbol of our shared values and faith. Those of you at home can light your own chalice as we share these words out loud. We light this chalice in honor of life's sacred dance of living and dying. May its flame remind us of those who have passed to us from fragments of holiness. May it remind us that we too are participants in the dance.
Okay, I have a story this morning. It's called Addie's Cup of Sugar. And this is a story that actually was originally a Buddhist teaching about a mustard seed. So there was once a little girl, her name was Addie, and she had very recently moved into a new neighborhood. She was very lonely, except that she had her best friend, her kitty that she called Trumpet. She called him Trumpet because when he was very little, his purring and his meowing was so loud. She loved Trumpet, and she would have been really bereft if he had not been there. But one day when she came home from school, her mother told her that Trumpet had been run over. Addie was very upset. She did not want to lose her kitty. She did not want to lose him. She didn't know what to do. But then she thought of her friend Stillwater. You can see Stillwater there. He's that big bear. Stillwater was very wise, and she ran to him and she said, Stillwater, Stillwater, Trumpet has died, but I can't let him go. I can't let him go. Please, what can I do? What can I do? And Stillwater gave her a hug. And he thought for a minute, and he said, yes, this is very sad. He said, perhaps I have some medicine that can help you. She said, please, what? Tell me what to do. She said, well, you must go and you must get a cup of sugar. That's the very first thing. You have to get a cup of sugar. She said, I can do that, I can do that. But he said, but it must come from a house where death has not visited. She said, okay. And she ran off, and she first ran to the next door neighbor. And she asked, and it was a little girl there who she'd seen in her school. And she said, Sarah, can I borrow a cup of sugar? And Sarah said, of course. And Addie said, wait, but I realized it has to be, has anybody died in your house? And Sarah said, oh, yeah, my great-grandma died this past summer. And so Addie left, and she went off, and she ran to the next place. And that happened to be her school librarian. And she said, Mrs. Smith, do you have a cup of sugar I can borrow? And Mrs. Smith said, of course, dear, just a minute. And Addie said, but wait, but I have to know that it has to come from a house where death has not visited. And Mrs. Smith said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. My son died last year. And Addie said, oh, I'm very sorry about that. And Addie went on, she went all around the neighborhood, and she asked at all the houses that anybody would answer the door, and it was always the same. They would happily lend her sugar, but in every house, death had paid a visit. She was so upset. She was so upset, and she ran home, and as she was crossing the street, she tripped on the curb and fell down, and she scraped her knee, and she was so upset. She just started crying, and she cried, and as she sat there, she started thinking about all those people who had lost someone, and somehow she didn't feel quite so alone anymore. She got up, and she went and found Stillwater. And Stillwater saw her and gave her a hug. And she said, I think I understand now. I think I understand. This was not medicine for Trumpet. This was medicine for me. Stillwater nodded and gave her a hug and said, yes, dear. Yes, dear. Everyone knows death. Okay. Now, we are going to sing our children to classes, and we are going to form the arch today. So would the people on the aisle stand up and form their arch? Ready? Now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share.
Good morning. I have some words from John Muir. On no subject are our ideas more warped and pitiable than on death. Instead of sympathy, the friendly union of life and death so apparent in nature, we are taught that death is an accident, a deplorable punishment of the oldest sin, the arch enemy of life, etc. But let children walk with nature. Let them see the beautiful blendings and communions of death and life, their joyous, inseparable unity as taught in the woods and meadows, plains and mountains, and streams of our blessed star. And they will learn that death is stingless indeed, and as beautiful as life, and that the grave has no victory, for it never fights. All is divine harmony.
Today, on the Day of the Dead, we honor those loved ones who have died and passed on, particularly those who have been co-creators of our fellowship here at CUUF. None of us still living can know the truth of what, if anything, lies beyond death's door. But on this day, we choose to invite whatever remains of our loved ones, whether spirit in some form or memory, to join us here as we share food, drink, and stories in their honor. We will begin with this song written by Larry Tobiska and inspired by our beloved friend, Dick Murphy.
And Pearl Murphy, or Dick Murphy and Pearl Wolf were members here some years ago, and they passed on. And they formulated 3 rules to live by. The first one is that we take care of each other. And the second one is we make the most of each day. And the third is we accept what is. So I wrote a little poem and a song to put those things to musical life. Life can be so difficult. Sometimes we make it so. It seems to me some simple rules can help to make life flow. Often we go round and round and ask each other why. But it's enough if we remember 3 rules to live by. First, we need to think about those people all around. And if we care, it soon is clear the first rule will be found. It is just as told to us by she who was our mother. The first rule is, and only is, we take care of each other. Next we'll maybe celebrate the coming of the morn. It's just as if that one more time we realize we're born. We are free to work and think and be and love and play. The next rule is we make the most of each and every day. We accept what is must be our third and final rule. Although things happen that to us can only seem as cruel, there's so much we can't control, we have to let it go. Then go back to rules 1 and 2 to help to make life flow.
Today will be the remembering and recitation of the names that you all have contributed, all of those former members of CUUF that we know of who have died, and the names that you have all shared with us of your beloved.
Kleenex ready? Larry Riegert. Do I read the other things people added?
If there are words beside them, you absolutely read them.
Hardworking, humorous, devoted to family.
Sandy Wick passed from COVID Thanksgiving 2020. My best friend of over 40 years.
Diane Lois Massey.
Larry Goot.
Judson McKinley.
Harry Wagner.
Rowena Wagner.
And my parents from Ronnie. Maybe those were the parents. Okay.
Charles Edward Schaff.
Terry Sorum.
Martin Sorum.
Elsie Dart.
Tom Corey.
Nana Simone.
Bruce Mitchell.
Mary Sprague.
Bernice Beeman.
Bob and Donna Sen.
D. Kane.
Randy Fife.
Norm and Alice Mattern.
Ruth Gardner.
Ruth and Charlie Mason.
Rocky Hildum.
Sonny Hughes. Strong, insightful, kind.
John Crew and Suzanne Harper.
Lorraine Thompson. No, we already did that one.
Okay. Ricky Stroud.
Richard Gear.
Judy Trefethen.
Fred and Ann Howell.
Dave Nichols.
Dana Peterson,
Pat Brook,
Ed De La Paz,
Sandy Riordan, strength, feisty, caring.
Ed and Shyla Hungerford,
Michael Rowe, my older, smarter, richer, better-looking brother.
Roy, always honest, willing to do things another way, and loved me.
Sergeant Ashati M. Moulton,
Ambrose Peterson,
Gerald C. Bailey Sr.,
Ken Robinson, faithful servant to the people, Reverend, Dad, Sailor, Trickster.
Ellen and Ralph Squillas, kind, patient, giving.
Dawn Overmiller,
Solon Paul Rasmussen,
Stu Kiner,
Todd Faulkner,
Andrea Simonton,
John and Jan Watt,
Donald N. Flick,
Cleo James Jimmy McAllister,
Ash Martinez,
Katie Cope,
Roy John Porter Clay,
Kathleen Bernard,
John Clay,
Rosemary Faust,
Terry Sorum,
Gary Montague,
Dick Murphy, and Pearl Wolf,
Steve Smith,
Marlis Barrett,
Paige Balling, loving, loyal, socially active. Vexelberger.
you do it,
Carol Vexelberger,
Beverly Press, family, giving, funny,
Verna Zutermeister,
Lois Cole, warm, smart, lovely person,
Ken Mills,
Jim
Szymanski,
Szymanski, thank you. I hate it when you mess it up. Jim Szymanski, sort of. New member, we lost too soon.
Tina Skoll,
Thea Fager,
Phil Aspinwall,
Jan Merriman,
Louise Buchanan,
Liz Kammerer, Stardust, mentor, saint, co-founder of the Grunwald Guild,
Gregory James Lyons,
Patty Christensen,
James Fogel.
That's all.
As we think about them, we will sing a song that you're welcome to join us in, a Gaelic prayer that works as well as a prayer for the dead as it does for the living. You may join us. Let's take a moment and sit in silence. My father was Bert Madsen. He was a quiet man in a lot of ways. He didn't often have a lot to say. And he had the driest sense of humor that I've ever known. He could say the most outrageous things with an absolutely straight face. Absolutely straight face. You couldn't tell that he was putting you on. And I remember after my brother John got married, John and his wife Kim were on their way to France. They were going to go for their honeymoon to France and also get caught up with some distant relatives who lived in the Alsace region. And before they left, Bert was talking to John and Kim about the possible food there, and Kim was saying, well, I don't care what they do, I'm not going to eat any frog legs. And Bert said, well, why not? He said, well, I don't want to just have them kill the frogs. And Bert said, oh, Kimmy, they don't have to kill them, those legs grow back. Absolute straight face. He also once told her that after she was born, they took the word gullible out of the dictionary. So we're going to spend the next 10, 15 minutes talking amongst each other. So I want you to go ahead and get yourselves in comfortable small groups where you can tell these stories about the people that you love. And remember, this is a celebration. Feel free to move the chairs around. As we collect ourselves, we'll listen to a song written by Nikki Mehta of the Waylon Jennings called Away But Never Gone. And I like this because it has the same feel that we're going for this entire service.
Today, we made an ofrenda for our friends and family who have died, a symbolic offering of treats and stories to acknowledge our ongoing love and connection. We will now make a more concrete offering to honor our connection and responsibility to the larger community, including those beloved with whom we are not yet acquainted. We will now receive the offering.
Our benediction today is from someone anonymous. Love lives on. Those we love remain with us, for love itself lives on, and cherished memories never fade because a loved one's gone. Those we love can never be more than a thought apart, for as long as there is memory, they'll live on in the heart.
And now, as we extinguish our chalice, please join me in saying the words printed in your order of service or on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we may carry in our hearts and light in our lives until we are together again.
And now, you'll all join hands to form a circle as we sing our final song.
Whatever works.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Boy, great service, didn't